Hi, boys and girls. It's Marci Chavalas, and it's story time. Today's story is from the Ordinary People Change the World series. The story is called I Am Rosa Parks by Brad Meltzer. This looks like a really cool book about a famous American, Rosa Parks. Let's turn the book over to read a little bit more, get an idea of what we're going to be reading. I am Rosa Parks. I will always stand up for what's right. Looks like that's an awesome character trait of Rosa Parks. Rosa Parks always stood up for herself, even as a child. It was a time in America when laws weren't fair to black people. If you were black, you weren't allowed to use the same schools, restaurants, or even water fountains. On city buses, dark skin meant you had to ride in the back. Only white people were allowed up front. But Rosa knew that everyone deserved the same respect and rights, and so she dared to stay seated on a bus one day when the driver told her to get up for a white rider. With quiet determination, she ignited a civil rights movement that ended up changing our country's unfair laws forever. Wow. Just one choice that she made and a series of actions from a number of people helped change things. Let's dive in. If you are an AR reader, here is the AR quiz number and level. So it's level 3.1, it's worth a half a point, and it's quiz number 169139. Let's grow. I am Rosa Parks. Growing up, I was small for my age. I was sick a lot too, since we didn't have money for a doctor, but that didn't mean I was weak. I'm not that short. Looks like you are. Most kids, Rosa's younger brother, Rosa. When I was 11, as I was walking home from school, a boy on roller skates came zipping by and shoved me. He thought I'd be an easy target. Shove. Push. To his surprise, I turned around and pushed him back. I knew fighting was wrong, but I didn't want him picking on me again. His mother saw what happened. She was mad that I pushed him. Did you just push my son? Uh-oh, this is going to be bad. But you know what made her even madder? I was black and her son was white. She immediately started yelling, I'll have you put in jail. You'll never get out again. No question. It was scary, but my mother and grandfather taught me to respect myself and to expect respect from others. So instead of backing down, I stood my ground and calmly but firmly I explained, Your son was the one who pushed me. I didn't bother him at all. I wasn't just standing up to that mom or even to the boy on roller skates. I was standing up for myself. After that, the boy and his mom never bothered me again. Still, it's hard to change things. Sometimes it can take a long time. Back then, if you were black, you were treated unfairly just because of the color of your skin. You weren't allowed to live in the same neighborhood as a white person, eat in the same restaurant, ride the same elevator, or use the same bathroom. You couldn't even drink from the same water fountain. One was marked for whites, the other for colored. When I was little, I used to wonder if the white water tastes different from the colored water. I even wondered if colored water came in lots of colors. But it didn't. The only difference was I had to walk outside or even down the block to get mine. Of course, it wasn't just about water fountains. Now, boys and girls, some of you might be having a question. What is this? They're describing them as white and black. Her skin is not black. Her skin is brown. And her skin is not white. It's peachish pink. Why do they call people black and white? Well, when you hear the words black and white, it means where your ancestors are from, where your great-great-grandparents were born. So for her great-grandparents or grandparents were born in Africa, or her ancestors were born in Africa, and so she's referred to as black. Her ancestors came from Europe, so she's referred to as white. I know it doesn't make a whole lot of sense why some people are called white and black, but that just helps us to understand the words that they're using. Let's read on. This was my school, a small old wooden building with one room and one teacher for all of us. Everyone from the 5-year-olds to the 6th graders were stuffed in that one room. There were no windows, desks, and barely any books. We also brought our books home every night. Why? Because we were worried that folks who hated the color of our skin would burn down our school. Since most kids had to work on a farm to earn money, we only went to school 5 months during the year. Less school, hooray! Don't say hooray, that's bad. Is that the type of school you'd enjoy going to? Man, no windows, one teacher for the entire school, barely any books, no desk. That does not sound like a great situation. Let's go look at another situation in school. Now here's the school for the kids who are white. Notice the difference? It was a new brick building with beautiful windows, new desks, and plenty of books, plus a playground. They went to school 9 months out of the year since they weren't working in the fields like we were. Now can we say hooray? No, there's no hooray about this. Wow, do you notice the difference there? Is this fair? Yep, the answer is no. This is not the way it should have been. Also, if you were black, you had to walk to school. If you were white, you got to take the bus. The worst part was, when I'd walk home with my brother, the kids on the bus would throw trash at us. It made me feel horrible. But there were no civil rights back then. The only solution was to move off the road. And really, what kind of solution is that? As I got older, things didn't change much. One winter, I was waiting for the local city bus. If you were black, you had to ride in the back. If you were white, you rode up front. On that day, the back of the bus was packed. There's no room in here, lady. Just reading about this makes me feel sad. Some of us think, oh, this must have been a really, really, really long time ago. But this was the time when my grandparents were kids and teenagers and young people. This wasn't very long ago. I remember stories from my grandma and my grandpa where people would do things like this to them. And that was not okay. It was very hurtful and sad. It was mean, and it was never, never, ever, never, ever acceptable. But there were plenty of seats in the front. I was just trying to find a place to sit. But as I entered through the front door of the bus, I tried to explain that there was no room to get in through the back. What do you think you're doing? You need to get off and use the back door. Only whites can come in the front, but I'm already in. The driver didn't care. He wanted me off the bus. He grabbed me by my coat sleeve. I dropped my purse near the front door. To pick it up, I sat in the front seat, a white seat. It made the driver madder than ever. That's it. Get out. Get off my bus. That's what he called it. My bus. As if it were his. The bus wasn't his, though. It belonged to all of us. Still that afternoon, the driver got his way. He kicked me off. See you soon. Yes, you will. But I promise you, that wasn't the last time I'd faced that bus driver. From there, in addition to working as a seamstress, I started working to change things. At the NAACP, we fought for fairer laws and made sure that people's stories were heard. Now, some of you might be wondering, what is the NAACP? It stands for the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. It's a group of people who are working for fairer laws and equitable treatment for all people. I also stopped using colored water fountains. I'd rather go thirsty than be treated so poorly. It was the same with separate elevators. Instead of riding them, I'd take the stairs. But as for real change, I'll read on the next page. Tell me what happened next. White, colored. Need a lift? No thanks. It sounds like she's making some steps, some choices of her own to stand up for what she believes in. We all can make choices every day to support the things that we feel are important. Let's go over here. But as for real change, even I didn't know what was coming. It was the end of a busy Thursday. I was 42 years old and on the bus going home. This time I was sitting in the first row of seats that were allowed for black people. There was one man next to me and two women across from me. Point check. Where is she sitting? Is she sitting in the allowed section or the not allowed section? Great listening. She's sitting in the place that she should be, even though the rules were unfair. It was the same driver from before, the exact same one from all those years earlier. At the third stop, a few white people got on, filling the rest of the empty seats. There was one white person left standing, so the driver told those of us in my row, "Let me have those front seats." At first, none of us moved, but when he asked again, "Y'all better make it light on yourselves and let me have those seats," the other 3 people got up. I stayed right where I was. "Come on, get up." Sliding over to the window, I thought about what he was demanding. He wanted to take my seat away. He wanted to give it to that man. And why? Because I was black and the man was white. I knew what the rules said, but I also knew in my heart that's not how you treat people. What are you feeling right now? Yeah, probably pretty upset. Like, this is not fair. This is not okay. This is not the way we should treat other people. Without a doubt, the driver was mad, but I never lost my cool, never raised my voice. "Are you going to get up?" "No." Wow, that must be really scary, and in front of all those people too. People say that the reason I refused to give up my seat was because I was tired, and I was. But it wasn't the kind of tired that came from aching feet. The only tired I was tired of giving in. "Well, I'm going to have you arrested." "You may. Go on and do so." Before me, there were other brave women who had refused to give up their seats. Still, on that day, for violating the rules of Montgomery, Alabama, I got arrested. But by standing up for myself, I ignited a movement. From there, the Montgomery bus boycott began. For 381 days, that's well over a year, all blacks in the city and even a few whites refused to ride the public buses. "But if you don't use the buses, we'll go out of business." "Then maybe you should think about changing your rules." Finally, the rules were changed. Public buses were no longer allowed to separate people based on the color of their skin. Let's look at some of these signs. Stand up for rights, no more. Strike, no buses, on strike. End segregation. Segregation is the word that describes separating people based on their color. Fair treatment for all. End bias now. Equality, dignity. Wow. That was only the beginning. Eventually, we were allowed to drink from the same water fountains, ride the same elevators, and yes, go to the same schools. In the Declaration of Independence, Thomas Jefferson wrote that we're all created equal. Finally, the nation was starting to act like it. Now can we say hooray? Soon. We're close. Of course, that didn't mean the fight was over. There were thousands of other people just like that bus driver. But after hearing how I didn't give up my seat, there were now thousands more people just like me, together, inspired and committed to justice. My name's Martin. Want to hear a rough draft of my speech? You bet I do. I'm glad that more people are standing up and more people are starting to change those unfair laws. In my life, people tried to knock me down, tried to make me feel less than I was. They teased me for being small, being black, being different. Let me be clear, no one should be able to do that. But if they try, you must stand strong. Stand up for what's right. Stand up for yourself, even if it means sitting down. Wow, that's some really good advice. No one should treat others with the kind of disrespect and unkindness that we saw in this story. We should be respectful and kind to one another. And if you see someone treating someone else poorly for any reason, you should stand up and speak out. If you see something, you should say something. When you do, others will follow. What's the medal? It's the Congressional Gold Medal, one of the government's highest honors. Cool. George Washington got one too. Now can I say hooray? Go for it. Hooray! Wow, that's really inspiring. Sometimes you might not feel like standing up for what's right or saying something, but when you do, it can encourage others to do the same thing. And when you're quiet, it could allow bad things to continue or people to be encouraged to continue doing the wrong thing. So it's important that we each do our part. You see something, you say something, and you take a stand for what's right. I am Rosa Parks. I'm not a politician or a president or an actor or a famous business owner. I'm just an ordinary person. But I'm also proof that there's no such thing as an ordinary person. I hope you'll always stand up for yourself, and I hope you'll remember that we're all in this together. Now, here's a couple pictures of Rosa Parks. One quote that she said was, "The only tired I was tired of giving in." Here's Rosa's police photo taken in 1956. Here's Rosa after bus segregation was outlawed in 1956. Here's a typical segregated classroom when Rosa was young. And here's a whole timeline about what happened. I encourage you to read more books about Rosa Parks and about the other people who participated in the civil rights movement and are continuing to participate now. Thank you for reading this story along with me. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did like it, go ahead and click the like button right now. If you want to hear more stories, don't forget to click the subscribe button. Until next time, have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.